it's kind of, if the computer you have does the job for you and it doesn't have any problems, I'm fine with it. Why, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So my tune is excellent. I'm super happy with it. I'm gonna stick with it. It's a 6S4-in-1 ESC, all proprietary to Blade. They're all Blade line products. But and I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm looking up the kV of the motors because I forget 1,500 kV, but I'm not absolutely positive. So I want to look real quick just
Well,
to
I
make sure.
pulled up the specs too for the video stream as well. 7-inch prod, 6S,
1,400.
1,000 to 22, 1,400
1400
kV. Yep, there they are. It's a nice looking beast, and it's on sale, man. It's on clearance.
And I mean, and it's great because it's a product that I developed, and I'm able to feature it on my show, and it's super cheap right now. So if you guys want one, clear us out, man. We want to get on to the next iteration, so we got to get rid of this one, man. Go ahead and grab one while they're hot. Absolutely. Oh,
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
It's nice. You have stream, so we can look at it there too.
Yeah, it's a little. I like I said, my poor old computer. I'm gonna go through this stuff so aggressively from this point on. I don't like having issues. I feel really bad, Audio. Just
no
came
problem,
back.
man.
It must be. Was it better on the show when I had it's got to be something goofy. That's no way that if it came back up while I had the website up, that is weird. I'm gonna have to go through this and tech this bad boy out, but I'm curious.
Audio sounds good now. I don't think there's a problem. I just checked it real quick. I don't want to create this crazy echo, but yeah, I think I'm coming through just fine too. Yeah, nice.
I hear you. That's hilarious. I don't know. Oh, it's Friday night. I'm gonna put you back on the 2-screen, and we're gonna see what happens here, just for the fun of it. I'm gonna have to edit this poor podcast. You're on the 2-screen. We're back on the 2-screen, and we have a clear Pete. I have no idea.
All right. Whatever. The live stream.
Fine. Game on.
We're
gonna keep going. Man, I apologize to everybody listening to this show. We try our best. So you develop these quads. You become quite the proficient, aerial photographer. And so what's next in your wheelhouse? What do you want to keep doing? What do you, what's your game plan for the next year, I guess, going into 2020?
Oh, man. Ideas for new content. So, the people who watch on the fly will enjoy it as much as possible. In addition to that, Allie and I, we kind of, I don't say it out loud, we feel a little spoiled. We're able to grab these products, go out and film them. And really, again, like I said before, there's so much talent. There's such a huge talent pool at Horizon Hobby that we really hope to bring some of those guys in, and kind of get their perspective on some products, maybe be able to take out some new faces and goof around with those guys a little bit with some of our product. We just kind of want to share the wealth at Horizon Hobby and get some of the other guys involved that we're really good friends with, that, the things that they do with radio control blows our mind. So we might as well share it with you guys. So yeah, that's the big hope. I hate to say it, and I hope not, but we went into On the Fly assuming that it was going to have a limited lifespan. So as long as we can keep up thinking of great ideas and different ways to keep the community and the fan base engaged, that's what we're going to continue to do. So if you guys keep watching, we'll keep making them.
That's awesome, and you guys do credit. I've been watching particularly the Hangar 9 inventory just exploded this year. Couldn't keep up. Now a lot of that stuff's way out of my budget, but if I'm flying out of a bigger field, suddenly some of that stuff becomes potential. But
Absolutely.
you guys, it must be just like kid in the candy store. What do I feel like chasing today? Hey, grab a plane and go. And the D7. Oh my goodness, that must have been so much fun to chase.
Oh yeah, well, it's just such a slow. I mean, the slower the better for me, honestly, and especially if the plane looks good flying slow. Oh, that's all the much better. That was one of the first times. I don't know if you probably saw there was a video that we put out that was the D7 in the snow. It was in the middle of the winter time. We were kind of had a little cabin fever, so we wanted to get out and just get some footage, fly some airplanes, and it was just perfectly crisp, dead air, beautiful snow on the ground, and we went out and just flew around. And that was really one of the times where I went back to the office, got the footage together, cut up a couple clips for Allie, and I think that's when the light bulb went off in his head. Like this is something we might be able to do something with this. This is some pretty cool footage. So yeah, he kept every time he was going out to the field from there on, he's like, Pete, what are you doing?
Pete,
Come on,
ring
let's
ring.
go. So
Yep.
yeah, it was a lot of fun
Uh,
for sure.
I liked when we were chatting, after you would release the turbine flying, and you said something to the effect of, I take care of the cameras and he takes care of the batteries, and I get some stick time in after the show, and I think that's awesome. Like that, and he's got to be egging you on the entire time. Lower, invert it, go. I look at some of the stuff like when he was flying the F-16 and just tossed it. He was sitting down and he just tossed it and took off. I'm like, no, there's no way.
Right.
That thing would plant it into the deck in 10 seconds with me. And it's just, it's funny to watch, just these different levels of talent. And I'm still skittish on a new airplane. I mean, I flew that, my Yak 130 jet. And the nerves are there. And as soon as I'm up, I'm like, okay, fine. I got this plane. This is awesome, right? But it's like, to have the mindset that, well, okay, I don't want to break the airplane, but to know that I don't own it, fly it like I stole it.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that you will definitely, so in product development, they're going to send you a one of one sample of an airplane and that
Don't destroy
that
it.
you've designed, and then you have to take that out to the airfield and you have to figure it out. So you have to figure out if it's going to fly to the best of your ability while it's on the ground, but you also have to, you're the guy who has to do that. You're the test pilot who has to put it in the air, and if it all goes wrong, it all goes wrong. And then you have to be the guy who figures out what went wrong afterwards too. So the one nice thing about being in product development and dealing with that process is serious trial by fire. If you're skittish about crashing an airplane, that is not the right business for you to be in. Radio
No.
control product development involves a lot of crashing, a lot of gluing.
Yeah.
So, because you got to do it. You have to do it. So, the more crashing and the more, snags that you can get out of a product before you bring it to market, the less your customer's going to do it. So, which is a hard
Cool.
task. It really is. But yeah, it definitely gets us used to the very heartbreaking moment when an airplane meets the earth without your intent.
There is some lovely crunching sounds, I'm sure, that goes on. We're gonna have some
Oh
fun now. I
yeah.
think we're gonna jump into the hot seat questions because that plays right into some of the stuff we're discussing right now. Now, I apologize; they are more plane centric, but we can mix in some quad. I guess I'll have to put that back onto
See,
the fans.
that's
Yeah, I know. I gotta work. I flew a quad the other day.
I don't know if you noticed this. This is not here on purpose. This is an airplane wing. This is my airplane wing for one of my airplanes. So I love airplanes just as much as quads. It's just what I get paid for is to fly multi-rotors. Don't get
I
paid
hear
to
you.
fly fixed wing anymore. So at least I get to
So
keep
what
that as
is it?
just a hobby for
What's in
me.
behind you? It
So
looks like a super. I want to say a super decathlon or something like that.
that is a clip wing Cub is what it is.
Ah,
It's so funny. It's
close.
working for the company. That's all I can say is that it's a clipped wing Cub. Is what the wing is off of. It's a little project I'm working on. I don't know if it'll ever. It's like I said. I don't get paid to fly airplanes. I fly multi. So this is just a hobby. So you may never see this one. But yeah, absolutely love large scale aircraft. Try to fly them whenever I can. But yeah, not just a quad guy. I've always said you can't pin me down. I'll run an RC car, RC helicopter, quadcopter, or an airplane. Doesn't matter to
Yep.
me.
Well, this is it. This has been the fun part about talking to everybody about this podcast, and this is why I was really happy to be able to keep the show going. Is everybody's like, you've got to try this, you've got to try that, and as I said earlier in the show, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put the money out to join my flying club. I'm going to follow all the rules and get their wing certificate. And then I can look into things like the turbines. But for that, it'll be balsa and maybe something a little bigger. Who knows? I've got sitting behind me, for those people who are listening, I've got that 3D printed giant Spitfire. 3D printed. It's terrifying. I really don't know if it feels rigid. I've held that wing up, but I have a beautiful 430 kV motor system, and I keep looking at what else could I put that into that's balsa for a winter project, because I just don't want to put my equipment into a 3D printed plane. For whatever reason, my success rate is really low. It looks sturdy, it feels sturdy, but you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm constantly looking for this, and this is where the balsa thing will come in. And a lot of friends are pushing, saying, you've got to try this. I don't think I want to initially build a kit because I don't have a lot of free time, but an ARF, and just to have that different flying experience, and find out, is it true, for me. I mean, I've gone from everywhere in this hobby now, and so this transition, and like you just said, helicopters. One day when I've got the budget, I will be brave and I will try it, because, there's just, you can only throw so many time, resources, and energy and funding to it. And yeah. All right. We're going to jump into these questions. I now have 39 since last time, but I'm going to challenge the podcast listeners to email me and message and send in more questions for the hot seat. We do like it. And you can't see it, it's off frame, but I got a bell. Oh my goodness, that's rattling the whole desk. That's pretty crazy.
Nice.
But we got a bell, and the idea is just hot questions. I'll let you elaborate when they go, because it does make for good content. But I have 39 questions and a random question generator, and we'll see if we can mix this up and get a little bit different. So here we go. I don't see any questions coming over, so this is just going to be me. So the first one is number 32. Oh, why do we always get this one? This is even not even a fun question, but this is a hard one. Do you think our airspace is safe for us to continue to fly, or do you think we will lose the ability to fly with exemptions and only fly at established RC? Man, only fly at established RC fields. So that's the park flyer question. Ooh, I hate to say it, but sometimes you got to answer this question.
My answer is both. It's because the two options were: do you think our skies are safe, or do you think that we'll be, basically ruled into only flying at airfields? Unfortunately, I feel it's both. Absolutely, yeah. Because I think totally safe. Everybody's safe to fly full scale, and I think we're probably going to be regulated to airfields sooner or later, I think.
Yeah, so you think the park flyer is going to go away over time? It's just going to rules and
I hope
control.
Not.
Yeah, it's sad, but I mean,
not,
maybe
when you look at the writing on the wall,
Yeah, everybody's going to be flying UMXs at the park, and who knows? It's a tough question, eh? It's not. It's like the fourth time
right.
that one has come up right away, so I guess it had to be answered. All right, hopefully
I think I got through it
from
quick.
Here.
Trying to.
Yeah, we'll keep them quick. And here, oh my God, no, you know what? Another bad one. I'm taking the annoying questions out. We want fun. This is what the whole thing is. What? Okay, I like this one. What is your go-to plane?
Go-to plane is my FMS BAE Hawk. Believe it or not, that's always at the field. Always sitting there. Always have a 6S in the car, ready to go fly it.
And that's an 80 mil. Lovely, lovely jet. I've got the Freewing 70,
yep.
And I'm looking forward to actually flying that one coming out soon. Here we go. Drone question from Bill Decker, who's hanging in there in the stream. Do you whoop?
I do. You can't work for blade product development without having a few Inductrix on your desk. I will not admit to how many hours I've wasted in the office testing the Blade Inductrix product line, but absolutely, big whooper here. Absolutely. I mean, you got to do something in the wintertime, right?
Oh, totally. You know what? The screens come out. We plug in a receiver on the big television upstairs, and we go flying around. I've got my yellow one and the plus and everything, and we just go. Got one.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get my son to fly more and more and more on that, and that seems it's something he seems really comfortable with. All right, another question. Here we go. Number 12. Is it going to be a good one? Favorite RC experience of all time?
Favorite RC experience of all time? Ah, man. Yeah, and then it's funny because immediately it comes to on the fly and different experiences like that. But I would say it's definitely my first turbine flight. First time I was able to solo, which you guys saw my buddy boxing flights. You never saw my first solo flight. That was probably my
Yeah.
favorite experience so far, and that actually happened pretty recently.
Cool. And I love the fact during that flight, the buddy box, you're pointing, the little boop, sweating bullets.
No, it
You,
was, yeah, it was hot, but I was also, I mean, because the
oh,
landing went terrible, and I don't know if it was portrayed as well as it should have been on the video, but I absolutely, screwed that landing up completely. And luckily, Allie's always over my shoulder, and having him around to actually tell me the best course of action. He's like, let it settle, let it settle. And that's exactly what I did. And I thought I was off the runway. I thought I was going to be into the beans, but all we had to do is get all three gear on the ground and lock up the wheels, and we were good. We were in with very, very little runway left. But yeah, it's just, again, not committing. Not committing. If you're on a turbine, man, commit to your
that's
landing,
yeah.
because you
Even
might
with the
not have enough
EDFs,
thrust by
yeah,
the end of the runway to get it back up and around. So,
yeah. I learned that the hard way with the with my FlexJet, and it was a terrible go around, which involved a touch and go on the other side of the field, And I'm like, never again. Land it. If I gotta steer it around a corner, I'm steering it around a corner. And you learn
yeah,
that pretty fast. That while especially after a battery pack is on its final sag, you're like, nope. So yes. All right. That
yeah.
question. Next one was number 31. Do you have any other hobbies?
You know what? I do. I kind of collect hobbies. Since I've been working for Horizon Hobby, that's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit. Still strange, but I'm still an active, aggressive inline skater, which you guys can look that up if you have any idea what that is. Still do that quite often. And just modeling of all sorts has really taken up a lot of my time. It's really interesting. Over the winter, a couple of my coworkers will ask me what I'm up to, and I said, "Oh yeah, I've building this really cool sonar RC vessel." So I have, yeah, I built a big RC ship that has built-in sonar. It's kind of like a search and rescue vessel, if you will, just a big
Mm-hmm.
scale model ship, which is still RC. So I guess that wouldn't really be considered another hobby, but the skill set and the type of modeling you're doing is so much different and so departed from air RC that I almost consider it a different hobby.
Nice. Nice.
Weird
So
stuff,
question
right? Yeah, whatever,
20.
anything RC, I'm always down for it.
Well, it's funny because there are times when I pull into a different hobby just to take a mental break, and I was in some really awesome mental state last year. So, it was just having those different venues. The danger is having too many hobbies, I think, and so you end up feeling
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
because you're not paying enough attention to something else, right? And I've got a lovely little sports car, which I really got to put a door panel back on the inside so it looks cool again, right? But it still drives.
Yeah. I
Right.
still have my
Question.
Jeep in the garage that I'm still working on. I should get out in the garage and put a new radiator in my Jeep so I can go off roading again. But yeah,
Yeah, but
planes
you're
come
here
first,
Friday night
unfortunately.
talking to some guy in Canada. All right. 28, totally related to you, man, and you can tell me if this is going to be for fixed wing or a multi rotor, line of sight or FPV.
Oh, I'm absolutely torn directly down the middle. I really am. You would think I'm biased to FPV. I'm really not. That's kind of the best thing. I get to eat my cake and have it too. I get to spend one half of my day in FPV chasing airplanes, and the other half I get to go actually fly them line of sight. And I really 50-50 right down the middle. Love them both completely equally. wouldn't take one for the other or anything like that.
Cool. And speaking of FPV, what goggles are you rocking right now?
Still with the HD3s, actually. I prefer those over the HDOs. I've flown the HDOs quite a bit, and still going with the rapid fire module. Haven't switched over to the fusion module yet. Basically, the HD3s and the rapid fire, I'm just so happy with the results. Awesome, clear video, very consistent. Yeah, it's another if it's not broke, don't fix it type of situation for sure.
Cool. And yeah, I guess when you're at that level and you're relying on these things daily, yeah. Do you invest a lot of R&D time in finding, okay, what's the next best thing? What's next? Obviously, the GoPro cameras are pretty crazy, and like, I mean, we're always waiting for the next version to come out. But yeah, I guess you said you're flying the same quad platform and everything, so it works, and I actually, you know what, from a flying standpoint, I've always wanted to ask. I always ask these questions. Do you tune, for the machine to suit your flying, or do you adjust your flying to better suit the machine?
Definitely. Well, and that's the funny thing. It's like between gains and then rates and expo. So you actually have the ability to do both, which I love about multi-rotors is that, your PID tuning is you tuning the aircraft. And then I feel that your rates and your expo and your, how you fine tune your control input is being able to do both. So I again think it's like, really both. So not only do I want to tune the quad to my flying style, but I also want to put the right rate and expo in there so it feels right to me. So yeah, it's like a glove. So it's like a baseball mitt. You got to work them both in. You got to get your hand used to the glove used to your hand. So and yeah, so I really attack it from both ends to try and get the best flight experience I can out of a multi-rotor for sure.
Cool. All right. Now you can choose to fixed wing again or multi-rotor on this one, but are you self-taught or were you instructed?
Self-taught, and that was for like the first part of my life, because me and my dad love running RC cars and stuff like that. But when I started playing with helicopters and airplanes, that's where he was like, I don't really know about that. So yeah, that I really took on airplanes by myself. It was really a self-teaching thing, and then that got me to the certain level. It definitely got me to a certain point, and then from the last 4 years until now, where I was a competent pilot now with the help of Allie and being able to work with the different product developers that I do, being able to feed off them so much, being able to learn different techniques, different maneuvers, it has just really, exploded from there. So, the beginning, all self-taught. Once I started working for Horizon 4 years ago, it was just a ton of instruction after that. So, I really got lucky.
Cool.
I really stepped in it as far as being able to have the right resources to advance my pilot skill and my abilities for sure.
Nice. All right, number 9. Oh, favorite radio brand.
Spectrum for life. I might as well have it tattooed on my shoulder. That will never change. You couldn't pay me enough to fly something else. Too
Nice.
loyal.
Nice. 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 No, I get
That's
that.
pretty
I get
aggressive
that.
with that too, wasn't I? Spectrum for life.
Spectrum. Well, it's funny because we get asked that all the time, or I get asked like the podcast, and I always come back with saying, one, yeah, there you go. If I could afford or radio, but it's like you make that decision right away and you stick with it because if you start switching brands and everything, the receiver costs and this and that and the infrastructure that you
Yep.
laid down, so I went one way
Mm-hmm.
and I fly my FR Sky product and everything, and if I could afford something new, and I've got plenty of blind and fly planes too. I've got a 6S here somewhere, DS6. But it's
Yep.
yeah, it's one of those things, and I love the fact that there is no right answer. Everybody has a reason why they enjoy flying their brand, and it's fun, and in that sense.
Oh
But
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, and that's that's what I told you too. I was buying so much Horizon Hobby products, whether it's a Blade helicopter or an E-flite, it just made
It makes
sense. Like,
sense.
why in the
Yeah.
world would I ever get
Yeah.
anything else? If that's all I'm buying, it just was kind of a no-brainer. And then I just fell in love with it from there. And obviously, I've drank the Kool-Aid now. I work for the company, so I'm never going back now. So.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to, right? You're always you should be able to, you
Yeah,
should be able to get them at a good
yeah.
price, right? I guess you get employee
uh,
pricing, so why not, right? So what are you flying
yep,
right now?
yep.
What's your radio?
So IX12. I have a
Nice.
custom. We did what we called Lamborghini Blue for my face. So me and Tom the Bomb, Tom Cogswell, we both have Lamborghini Teal Blue IX12s that we absolutely adore. Especially because I'm flying
Nice.
Crossfire to have that compatibility to where it's just pretty much plug and play. Yeah, it was best thing out there right now. I have done a lot of beta testing, but I can't tell you about the transmitter. Absolutely love the new transmitter. And next question.
Excellent. What is your favorite part of this hobby then?
The community, the people you get to meet, the different characters, the different skills. It's like different pilots are like different paintings. Everybody has their own style, everybody has their own method, and it's especially cool to be able to go to events and really see the top level, the really smart guys that have been doing it for a long time, being able to meet them and talk to them. It really is. It's the best part. I'd love to say that being in my basement by myself, plugging away with the headphones on, modeling something, but yeah, it's all of the time spent in the basement for that winter is also you can go out and showing it off to those guys and to talk about it, to share the hobby with those other people. So yeah, as much as you like
Yeah.
to think that the chopping away on balsa is the best part, it's yeah, it's all for that. It's all for the community. So yeah, so you can share it.
Yeah, well, there's a certain event that I plug my heart and soul into every year, and there's a reason. Exactly the same, man. I love it.
Yep.
And it's about those people, and they become your second family. So that
Absolutely.
question again, random generator generating question number 11. First RC vehicle.
I was talking about it right in the beginning. I think that when I was telling a story, it was the Tyco RC Bandit 9.6 volt. That was the first thing I ever got. That after that, it was the Tyco
NICAD,
Fast
right?
Tracks.
Nice,
What was
nice
that? Sorry.
plastic and everything. NICAD
Oh
batteries, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. It was I mean, it's basically like built like an old '80s Tamiya. It was all that blown plastic stuff. Broke after the first battery charge. Still loved it. Still loved
Cool.
every minute of it.
Yeah, I have some very fond memories of starting off. I remember finding my dad. He had it was a control line, gas powered control line or whatever, and just it was all just a scale. It was just a skin, not even skin, the bones, the wood balsa and everything, and that was. But I mean, I tell you, if I could have flown as a kid, I would totally have jumped at that. But my poor parents couldn't afford that, so. But look at me
Yeah,
now.
right.
Actually, I like this one. Question number 36. These are the fun multiple choice, but Corsair or Hellcat?
Corsair for sure.
Nice, nice, good, solid plane. All right. Crash story. We all have at least one. Spill it.
Oh, crash story. There's just so many. I don't know which one to choose. I'll tell you my most recent one. My
There you go.
buddy had just gotten a new car. He got a cool little convertible, and he wanted to know if we could go out to an old country road out in the middle of nowhere, and if I could do some chasing with it, go check his car out. And sure enough, we found ourselves out on that country road, and I got my quad all ready to go, and just having an absolute blast. And it's so funny that I got to the point where I was really, really comfortable, and that's usually when things go bad, and I should remember that. I had I had gotten the footage I want, got a couple orbits around the car, and I was like, all right, now I'm going to play a little bit. And I did a big power loop around some power lines that were on the side of the road, and then came back around and just absolutely destroyed some power lines, just clotheslined myself on a line that was running out to a house that I didn't see. And it was just that, within 3 seconds of me saying, oh, I'm going to go play now, I had a battery that looked like a squished ketchup packet in the middle because I had clotheslined my quad into a power line so hard. So, that'll happen when you're playing around. But that was the most recent. I had to throw that battery away just a couple nights ago, as a matter of fact.
I'm just banging through these questions, finding something good and juicy. But let's see. Number 18. Oh, do you grab tape or CA first? That's always a good for a builder.
CA is the go-to for sure. Almost always over
Nice.
tape.
Yeah, because then you gotta get it off the surface after and clean it all up and everything.
Yeah.
And I guess when you do you often, if you have a do you have backup quads actually when you're at the field?
Yes. Always bring at least two GoPros and two quads and about four sets of props. That's usually the minimum. Because it's not just a hobby anymore. It's actually a job. So I'm actually expected to get it done. So you need to prepare yourself for that. That if something goes down, something breaks, that you can still, you're already out there. You can't really take the time to go all the way back and rebuild something and come back out. So yeah, always have a backup.
Yeah, and I guess in your case you don't have to justify. You just say I want two or three of everything, and then. But I guess probably have to spend a considerable amount of time making sure they're all tuned equally and performing. So your backup A, B, and C. Do you rotate between them, or do you have like your favorite? Your number
I
one quad.
don't. Yeah, it's like a pair of underwear for me. And just run the one you have until it's dead, and then once it just threads, then that's when you go get the new one out. So yeah, I try to keep the
Nice.
first one running for as long as I can, and then keep the other one for a backup. Just so the idea is that keep it pristine for as long as possible, rather than wearing a bunch of them down little by little, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and then once you notice the performance drop off, and you mentioned you fly 6S, so do you find that the quads now that they're flying with 6S last a little bit longer? The equipment is better, taking the punishment a little better, or you just thrash them until they're done?
Uh, to be completely honest, I haven't been really risking my rigs very much. Air to air is pretty, what I would say, low impact for multi rotors. Obviously, when we're doing fast runway passes that are really low to the ground, that's a risk to the aircraft. But it's been so long since I've really had a hard crash. Every once in a while, I'll have someone fly me into the ground because I'm paying too close attention to the airplane and not the ground. But yeah, I mean, and I don't really want to give myself credit. I think it's the application that I'm in, but yeah, very few crashes lately. What I can say for the 6S machines is that they're far more consistent as far as the power band. Where a 4S
Mm,
machine, you have a bunch of power, and then that slowly degrades over time over the life of the battery.
yeah,
6S is a lot nicer to where it just stays more consistent for you.
cool. Question number 8: pincher or thumbs?
Thumbs, all thumbs, both for line of sight and FPV. I got some big bear paws, so yeah, I feel like I have enough travel, enough dexterity with just my thumbs. So yeah, I don't like to get the index fingers up there. The index fingers stay back for arming and disarming.
Interesting, interesting. Apparently I run a hybrid, which freaks people out. I don't know why. It's just how I learned. But what I find, the
Yeah,
disadvantage I find is when I'm trying to throw a switch, I'm like, gotta get my hand up higher. But whatever. We all fly in our own
yeah, it's too far
ways.
away. I don't like it.
Um, yeah. Let's see. I lost it. I had it here right in front of me. Number 26. I love these questions. What was your first car?
First, like full size car.
Real car.
My first real car. Oh man, I forget
Yeah.
what it was. A little It was a station wagon. It was like a Ford Escort station wagon, but it wasn't. It was the Mercury version. Well, I wish I could think of it. I can't think of the name, but yeah, it was basically the Mercury version of a Ford Escort station wagon. It's a killer vehicle,
I
excellent
bet it
plane
looked
hauler.
gorgeous. Yeah, killer, right? I rocked an '88 Firefly Pontiac Firefly 5-door automatic 3-cylinder for a while.
Mercury Tracer. That's what it was. Mercury
Yes!
Tracer station wagon.
Yes!
Look it
Oh,
up. Check it out. It was
gosh,
like
yeah.
a late
Yeah,
80s version.
you will be horrified, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. All right, we'll ask a few more of these, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. I'm not gonna bother with the some of the new product here crap and stuff like this because it's just been a little bumpy, and we're gonna save those for another show. And I'm gonna do some serious tech faulting, but we're having some fun. And thank you for hanging out and answering some of these crazy questions.
Yeah.
Do you call airplanes drones?
No, they are definitely not the same thing. It depends. You know, if you pack it with a flight controller and it's completely autonomous and it has cameras all over it, that's when I start. You know, that's when I consider a fixed wing aircraft could be called a drone. But otherwise, absolutely not. I think they're very different and should be classified differently for sure.
Yeah, that's it's particularly. I've been dealing with the Canadian rules and how they're talking, and this is precipitating a lot of stuff. And it's like everything gets lumped in together, and you're like, no, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be. But I get their point of views too. But it's such a weird subject matter, and I think where everybody's on the same page. No, I'm not flying a drone. My DJI Phantom, yes. Even the multi-rotors. That's something I'm completely in control of, right? This other stuff, it can fly away on its own if it wants. It has too. Not the DJI. That was another product that I tried, the APM thing. Never, ever, 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 ever again. Number 14. Yep. Yes, I love this question. Mustang or Spitfire?
Mustang.
Oh,
Mustang for sure. I know. Just my personal opinion. Yep. Not that
I love that one.
That is that. It's just more. I would say national pride. I said say more than anything else. I think Allie would probably pick Spitfire over that for sure.
Awesome. I think we'll go for one more and we'll have a little fun. Oh, I'm going to pick one randomly. I like this one. This one came in recently. It's Velcro. So is it fuzzy side on the battery or fuzzy side on the fuselage? So the soft side of the Velcro.
Hard on the plane, soft on the battery. It's a good thing to remember. That way you always get it right. Be hard on the plane, be soft on the battery.
Yeah, and then you don't get a bunch of fuzzy stuff attached to your battery as well.
Yep.
all the field debris, the willows and stuff like that. Okay, awesome. All right. So, here's some nice little questions. I'm not going to bother with the other one Bill asked. That's just a little too personal, Bill. Come on, man. But he did ask one. Have you ever flown a tricopter?
Yeah. I had the original, that's funny. You and me were talking about that the other night, weren't we? Yeah, I had the original
DT750s.
Yeah, with the KK2 board, the original window stall design. Even had the squared off dowel rods and everything. Yeah. We were talking, I didn't have the best success with it. Definitely didn't get any killer footage with it. But definitely that was one of the first multi-rotors I ever built and actually operated. Yeah, love that thing. I loved just learning about it. It was such a cool learning experience to have one, and luckily it didn't take my head off at all while I was trying to figure out how it actually worked right.
It is an interesting flying experience. I can't say I had a huge amount of success, and I always remember myself getting into trouble in these weird slides where it's like, well, with a quad you can kind of spin it around or turn it. But the tricopter, I would always just kind of woo and then tail spin in, and I'm like, no. So I definitely didn't have the skill set. Even on a quad, when I took off the other day and flew it, I admit I was in full, assisted control mode and everything. I did a couple flips line of sight and then got back in, but I remember I'm in the yard flying this thing, my little 150, and I'm just trying to keep my altitude up just enough, and I'm like, I've got to get back out to the field and just have fun, because I know what this thing can do, and I know I've had fun with flying it. It's just 3S setup. Did change the blades for everybody who razzed me for having the old blunt nose 3-inch. I've actually got some tri-blade props on. Oh yeah, this thing was old. This thing was an old design. It flew. It was great, but I mean, it was just a little age. But I flew it with the tri-blades, and they seem to hold up to my beating. So I will get out there and I will hang out with my buddy here who flies a lot of multi FPVs and stuff, and we'll go through some gates. We'll go through some goalposts, and I'll do some flips and dives again, because it's been a really long time. Well, Pete, I think we've had a pretty stellar show despite the technical difficulties that ensued. So I think we're gonna wrap this up. Like I said, I'm not gonna do any of the product reviews for this week. We'll save this for another show, because obviously I've got some technological battling to do to figure out why you were so glitchy during the stream. But I think I've got all the audio from our show reserved and saved. Any final comments? Any nice little words you want to pass out to the fans of the podcast?
I mean, hey, Andre, thanks for having me. Love to talk about what I love to do. So thanks for giving me a place to do that. I appreciate it. And so the one thing I would like to say, I think this is just for you mostly, Andre. I don't know if you caught it on the Rotor Riot community and a couple other different community pages. I actually posted kind of a music video version of the turbine air-to-air that I did, because I kind of feel like all the worst stuff I put in the On the Fly episode, because it was all the conversation points and it wasn't really any of the good flying. So be sure to check that out if you can. Check out an episode or two of On the Fly. And again, just thanks for having me and let me talk about what I love to do.
Cool, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll put the links into the actual podcast episode and everything, and throw this video. What I'll probably try and do for this online stream is post the recorded thing here, and we'll keep it going. So a bunch of people saying thank you on the live stream and everything. And again, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you later. I'm gonna close out the show and put some music up, and we're gonna end this fun but chaotic and interesting podcast. So again, thank you, Pete, for coming out. Have a fantastic weekend, buddy.
You too, man.
Ciao.